This is the Ninja DT202BK Foodi XL Pro Air Fry Oven. And what surprised me most is how reliably it handles 2 trays at once without me opening the door to rotate anything. On busy nights, that's the difference between juggling pans and actually sitting down while dinner finishes itself. I see this as a countertop convection workhorse for people who cook for a family or who meal prep in batches. If you've outgrown a basket-style air fryer, or you're tired of preheating a full-size oven for a couple of sheet pan dinners, this fits right in. It's not for tiny kitchens with zero spare space, and it's not for anyone who hates cleaning stainless interiors. But for a medium to large household that wants speed and consistency, it's in the sweet spot. The look is understated and practical. The matte black finish blends into a modern setup, and the big glass door lets me see what's happening across both levels without moving an inch. The design choice that matters most in daily use is the display on the handle. It sounds trivial, but having the controls right there means I stand centered in front of the oven. I can read the timer and temperature at a glance, and I get lit-up rack recommendations that tell me exactly where to place the trays for each mode. The body gets hot, so I keep it pulled forward on the counter with some space behind it. It's wide and relatively low, which is great for 2 pizzas or a turkey, but it also means tall loaves and certain roasts sit closer to the top elements than in a deep wall oven. Setup was straightforward. I did the standard burn-in because there's a new appliance smell the first time it heats up. I cranked it to max for about an hour, with good ventilation, and it cleared quickly. After that, I was cooking within minutes. The first thing I noticed is the preheat is basically instantaneous compared to a full oven. By the time I've seasoned some veggies or patted chicken dry, it's already at temperature. Controls are simple. A knob to scroll functions in temps, start-stop, and the handle display that freezes settings when the door is open, so I don't accidentally nudge anything mid-cook. The fan is loud enough that I can't comfortably talk right next to it, but it's not out of character for a high-powered convection system. And the cooling fan runs after a cook to protect the internals, which I appreciate even if it keeps the kitchen a bit noisy for another minute or two. Performance is where this earns its counter space. The airflow is aggressive but even, and that's the reason 2-level cooking actually works. Fries and breaded chicken come out with that convection crisp bite. Not deep-fried, but satisfying and much lighter. What I care about is that I don't have to babysit a basket and shake halfway through. Roasting is where it really shines. I've done a 5-pound chicken at high heat and had evenly browned skin edge to edge without flipping. The interior stays juicy because the fan moves enough air to crisp the surface fast and lock in moisture. Baking surprised me too. Cookies and biscuits finish faster than my full oven and color evenly. I don't see the usual hotspot pattern I get on an older range. For pizza, I can load 2 12-inch pies on separate levels and both finish with firm bottoms and brown cheese on top in one pass. I don't swap trays anymore, and that alone has sold me. Not everything is perfect. The exterior gets legitimately hot, so I keep plastic utensils and paper towels well clear. The fan noise is noticeable. I can hear it from the next room. There's a bit of a learning curve on temperature accuracy. My unit runs a touch cool compared to the display, so I trust a separate thermometer for meat and extend by a few minutes if I need to. Bacon can smoke if grease splatters onto the elements, so lining the pan with parchment and keeping the crumb tray clean helps a lot. I avoid lining the crumb tray with foil because it can mess with airflow. Parchment on the sheet pans has been the safer move. And the black finish looks great, but it can show hairline scuffs if I clip it with a metal tray. There's also the reality of cleaning. The stainless interior wipes down fine if I do it while it's warm, but the air fry basket needs patience. A long soak in hot soapy water or a baking soda paste gets it back. And when it's really stubborn, I break out a soft nylon brush. The included pans absolutely stay out of the dishwasher. Hand washing preserves their finish. Let me walk through some real-world runs. Weeknight sheet pan dinner. Sausages and broccoli on the top rack. Cubed sweet potatoes on the bottom. I start the potatoes a few minutes early, then add the sausage and broccoli tray. Both trays finish at the same time. The potatoes blister at the edges, and the broccoli has that little char that makes it taste like I put it under a broiler. No swapping shelves, no fuss. A whole roast chicken on a weekend. I spatchcock the bird, pat it very dry, salt it early, and set it on the roasting tray. It browns fast, so I keep an eye on color through the glass. I use a probe thermometer to hit target temp and rest it on the counter while the cooling fan winds down. Wings for game night are easy. I do 2 batches back to back, with barely a pause. The second tray benefits from the oven already being saturated with heat, so the skin pops even quicker. Leftovers might be my favorite use case. Cold pizza in the reheat mode comes back with a crisp base instead of the limp triangle I get from a microwave. Fried chicken regains crunch without turning the meat into jerky. And for breakfast, the bagel mode actually toasts the cut side more than the backside, which is exactly what I want. The dehydrate mode is more situational. It works for jerky and apple chips, but it's a large cavity, so it's not the most efficient for tiny batches. If I'm drying a couple of trays, it's worth it. If I just want a handful of banana chips, I use something smaller. Broil is useful as a finisher. It melts cheese on a casserole, caramelizes the top of mac and cheese, and gives fish a quick bronze without overcooking the interior. But it won't replicate a cast iron sear. Toasting 9 slices at once is great for a brunch crowd. The edge pieces are always a hair lighter than center, which I can live with, because everyone eats at the same time. For frozen foods, it's fast and forgiving. Nuggets, fries, and fish sticks go from rock solid to table ready faster than my big oven preheats. I still space items out on the basket for best results, and I flip if I want a very even color, but the fan does most of the work. A few small quirks have popped up over months of use. When I bake frozen breads, I sometimes see condensation collect at the bottom of the door and drip. I keep a small towel nearby for those runs. The handle button labels can fade if I spray cleaner directly on the display area, so I only use a damp cloth there. The crumb tray is the difference between a clean cook and a smoky one, so I empty it all the time. As for power, this pulls like a serious appliance. On an older circuit, I don't run the coffee maker and this oven together. Give it a dedicated outlet if you can. Reliability has been fine for me, but I've seen reports of sensor errors that require support. My rule with any countertop oven is to keep a record of serial numbers, register it online, and be ready with a quick video if support asks for proof of an issue. There are smart touches that make life easier. The handle display freezing when the door opens means I don't accidentally change temp with a wrist bump. The rack indicators lighting up remove guesswork. The interior light is bright enough that I rarely open the door mid-cook. Fast preheat saves more time than I expected because I don't plan around a long warm-up anymore, I just start. And 2-level even cooking is not a gimmick here. It works, which is why I barely touch my big oven now unless it's a holiday roast or a tall Dutch oven stew. My use case is simple. I cook for a household that eats a lot of sheet pan meals, roasted vegetables, and crispy proteins without deep frying. I also host pizza nights where 2 pies need to hit the table together. This oven makes those nights predictable. I set temps, I choose rack levels the display suggests, and I get consistent results. I still check internal temps for meat because I don't play roulette with doneness, but beyond that, it's pretty much set and forget. The only tax I pay for that convenience is the cleaning and the noise. If you've got the counter space and you actually cook, this is a strong pick. It replaces a toaster, an air fryer, and a lot of full oven tasks with faster, more even results. It's perfect for families, meal preppers, or anyone who likes the idea of a 2-tray dinner that finishes at the same time. If you live in a studio with limited ventilation or you're sensitive to fan noise and heat, consider whether you'll be comfortable running it several times a week. For my kitchen, it's earned a permanent spot because it's fast, consistent, and big enough to feed a group without babysitting. I will leave detailed information about the Ninja DT202BK Foodi XL Pro Air Fry Oven in the comments for your reference.